March 5th, 2018, Management Services Committee to order. Right, is there a motion to approve the agenda? Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Public comments? Seeing none, we will start with Jason Myers from Johnson Controls, and if the others can leave the room. Wherever works for you.
I turn over here so we can see you.
Yeah, we'll move this stuff out.
Terminate.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm pushing it to you and you're pushing it.
Trying to grab it.
Thank you all for allowing me a few minutes here this morning. As mentioned, I would work with Johnson Controls, so kind of talk to you a little bit today about our facilities role and kind of what Johnson Controls does. I'm going to pull up some notes here so I don't get completely off track. But a little bit about Johnson Controls, from a high-level history. We invented the thermostat for electric thermostat for buildings. So when it comes to looking at buildings and infrastructure, that has been our main objective since day one. We are a Fortune 100 company, so we've got a worldwide presence. Buildings, fire, security. Tyco, Simplex, Cornell is part of Johnson Controls, and we've been doing business in Illinois since 1885. We've got about a little over 1,600 employees in the state currently, so we're very committed to the business here. Our objective, and why I'm here with the county is to look at ways that we might be able to address some of the infrastructure needs throughout the county and some of the buildings, and look at some inefficiencies with some of the utility spend and some of the aging heating, ventilation, air conditioning, lighting, anything that consumes energy essentially. What Johnson Controls is focused on these days is what we call smart cities, smart counties. It's a term that's being thrown around a lot these days. And really, what does that mean? What does that mean for the county when we say a smart county, when we look at buildings? A lot of that's technology driven. We want to make sure that we have a comfortable environment for employees, for folks living here. We want to be connected, whether that's literally to cell phones or the building, building automation systems are connected so that we can make sure that, folks like Chris, his job is more efficient and effective, and so the folks working here are, able to get their jobs done as efficiently as possible. We want to look ahead, be forward thinking with making sure that this is a sustainable county. And safety and security, unfortunately, has become a big focus these days with all the events that are taking place, and so we want to make sure that, that this is a safe place to live and work. A couple of side fun facts about Johnson Controls, and kind of what we bring to the market. When we talk about smart and sustainable communities and counties, Illinois put out an RFP last year for smart street lighting. What that means to each individual organization is different, but we were the preferred provider of that. And so what that means is we can provide smart technologies to a lot of local communities, whether it be lighting, whether it be buildings, controls, things like that. We're very proud of that and very proud of the presence that we have in the market. We're very committed to Illinois and the counties within to make sure that you guys are able to move forward efficiently and effectively. Looking at Iroquois County and kind of some of the information that we found, I was able to walk a little bit of the buildings previously just to get an overview of what the infrastructure looks like and look a little bit at a high level of utility analysis of kind of what you guys are spending. Our goal with a lot of the projects we do is to find inefficiencies, lighting, heating, air, things like that, and get you some of the latest and greatest technology that makes the building more efficient, and use those savings to help pay for the upgrades. It is a big focus. What we do, performance contracting is a term you've probably heard thrown around over the years. That is one method of how we fund some of the projects that we do. We want to look at the facilities, the lighting, and have a good impact on the budget. That's obviously a strain for everybody these days. States cutting 20-30% out of everybody's budget. How do we do more with less? What do we do to make sure that you guys can get the things done that you need to with less money to work with? So what we would like to do is continue looking into the buildings, find ways that we can help improve some of the infrastructure. I know we've got some chillers and boilers that could use some work at some of the buildings, a lot of the lighting that could be upgraded, and that's a lot for local teams, Chris, teams of 1 and 2 folks, and how do you get that done, either in-house or working with local contractors? What does that look like for the county? That's where we'd like to step in and help with that. So the projects that we do, we will, mention we've got 1,600 employees in Illinois. We can provide a lot of the labor to do that, but really we want to work with the county and work with local labor if we can to execute some of the work that we do. We'd love to support the communities that we work in. That's great for both of us to present to the folks of the county and say we're providing local labor, local business. Johnson Controls manufactures a great deal of pieces and parts that could be used in some of these projects. We are vendor and product neutral, so we don't necessarily, shame on me for saying this, but we don't necessarily care if we use our products. But what that means is we are fully committed to the building industry and making sure that everything that we do is successful. We are committed to the parts and the products and the pieces and the innovation that comes with that. But we would love to work with the county however the county sees fit. So whether that be using local labor, using parts that maybe aren't necessarily ours, that's not an issue as long as it meets the needs of the county, and we can provide local, boost local economy, whether through savings with the projects we can complete or providing jobs and work for the local businesses. So the big thing with some of the projects that we do is there is no risk to the county. So where the county may say we want to fix some of the issues around here, and how do you manage those contractors? How do you manage the parts and pieces that are coming in and make sure everything is quality? That is the role of Johnson Controls, which takes all the risk, the headache off of the county's table, where we'll handle any issues that come up. When we talk about creating efficiencies for the county, what's old lighting that is inefficient and providing new LED lighting or whatever that may be, if we think we can generate savings, we'll guarantee those savings on kilowatt usage, and so that you can count on using those funds towards the debt service of paying for those upgrades. Is essentially the way that works. There are no change orders, so if we can come up with a project and say this is what we think needs to be done, the county says, yep, we're okay with that, we're not going to go back on our word. That's on us if we miscalculate or something is screwed up and we need to fix it. We hold your hand throughout the course of these projects. That a lot of these upwards of 20 years that they take to through the guaranteed period, and most of the companies doing this today haven't even been around 20 years. We pioneered this performance contracting industry in the 70s. We've seen many agreements through the 20-year period successfully from start to finish. A lot of times we see companies come into the market, out of the market a few years into it. We've been around for over 100 years, and we plan to be around a lot longer. So we bring a lot of that expertise. And we talk about how are we going to impact these buildings specifically, and designing the projects. There's no separate architect and engineering fees, and they come with a lot of projects that the county would self-perform. And again, the selection flexibility is huge. So we want to make sure that you're comfortable with the folks doing the work, the products being implemented, and we are as well. So we put everything through a rigorous test. We put out multiple bids underneath Johnson Controls for parts and pieces. Even if we intend to use local labor, we want to make sure that the county's getting the best qualified equipment and people to do the work for you. And we hold your hand throughout. So we'll be here to provide ongoing training and support through everything that we do. That is, essentially, I guess, kind of an overview of what Johnson Controls does, and what impact we would have here. From here, the ask would be for us to be able to dive a little deeper into the infrastructure here. I like to bring in some folks that are a lot smarter than I am to, from an engineering standpoint, just to take a look at the building, get another set of eyes on things, and present the county with some of our findings, some of our recommendations, and then what does that roadmap look like going forward to, potentially work together. So this is kind of our, I guess, if you will, first date, from a lack of better term, to see if this is something that you guys feel comfortable with and would like to look into with Johnson Controls. Open it up to questions.
I guess, first question, maybe I misunderstood, but you're the first one that I've heard mention possibly using in-house labor. Is that, if that was the case where we were doing the in-house labor, you'd supply the parts? Or how would that?
In-house.
As in Chris and a team?
Yeah, we would, when I said in-house, I meant Johnson Controls
Okay.
labor. Yep. In-house labor, we would work with Chris and team, on some of the stuff. Obviously we need his input and his, you're the county's input on some of the projects, but as far as completing the work, we would either work with Johnson Controls labor or labor that Iroquois County would like to work with local contractors and so forth generally. So.
Well, it sounds like the money you save, if we save $10,000 in lighting, and that money, $10,000 goes to pay what you...
It would go, yeah, it would go to pay the
So it
debt
wouldn't cost
not
any
for us.
extra. It's actually money you've already been spending.
Correct. Redirecting money that you're already spending, not to mention, grants, rebates. So we have a grants services team that will go out and look for free money for the county, whether it's incentives from Ameren, rebates that are available to apply towards this project, because that helps both of us to fund this thing. From a financing standpoint, we don't make any money on the financing. We've got relationships with 30 plus banks and lenders, and we've got a structured finance team that will walk through and say, here are some ways that folks have financed projects, whether it be a general obligation bond, lease purchasing, contingent payment programs, whatever that may be. Present ideas, options. Here's kind of what the rates are looking like. We are not a municipal advisor. We are on your side of the table, because the better financing that we can help you find, that's in our best interest as well from a project volume standpoint. But we will, we don't have our hands in the financing other than just helping educate, hopefully. So.
Now, as far as, we've got a chiller that in the next few years is going to need, how would that be handled?
The capital side, like the equipment.
Well, we got chiller that needs to be replaced within the next few. Heat pumps is not as major. I mean, if they, but how would that be if you went with you, and how a project that big, how is it handled?
Handled.
You guys like
Financially
helping
and
us upgrade our old equipment. Is that what you're asking?
Well,
how does this project?
because it's an R22 unit that's, they just fixed a big leak in it last year. Yeah.
He's seen the unit.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess, hopefully I understand the question correctly, but, we would walk our development engineer through to assess what the needs would be. He's going to know more than I am on the actual product and parts side. Take a look at it, and, as part of this project, that would be built in, as part of the project, we would manage the funding, the savings that it's going to generate with whatever upgrades we determine, and this is hand in hand. We need your input here on what the county feels comfortable with. We'll either provide the work to get it done. It would be, usually when we do these, we assess the workload that we're going to do, whether it's lighting, chillers, boilers, air handling units, the whole bit, and then whatever's the most critical now, is what we would address first. The chiller, isn't going to die hopefully tomorrow, but if it looks like it's pretty critical, that's going to be one of the first things we address going into the cooling season. We like to make sure the air conditioning is knocked out early to address. So that would be what we would assess throughout the project as we put the development agreements together and so forth, to determine when we would approach that. as far as the actual physical work, that's something that we're going to talk through with you guys. Maybe it's someone local that actually does the grunt work, changing out pieces and parts. Maybe it's our Johnson Controls guys. That's, you know, wherever we determine together financially and effectively what's going to be the most effective manner to do that, or who's going to be the most effective to do that. That's something that we mutually decide. So I don't know if that directly answers your question, but I don't know enough about to exactly say here's our process because we haven't dug into it far enough.
But you look at all of that.
We would look.
See, oh, if we upgraded the chiller because it's old growth to a more modern, this is what you're spending now to keep it going. This is what the new one is. Here's the cost savings.
Yep.
That you look at, is that?
Absolutely. So we're going to look at the current spend, and then what the new unit would be efficiency wise. When we figure in the savings, we look at obviously utility spend. Operation and maintenance comes into play if that's something that we want to factor in as well, and that's something that we mutually decide together. You know, if we want to factor those numbers in. You know, just from a quick overview, looking at some of the utilities, kind of a lean analysis we call now that we've done. You know, probably $950,000 worth of savings that we think we could generate over the next 20 years. Just on the quick walk that I did with Chris and a look at your utilities. That number is going to, you know, we'd walk the buildings in more detail. We'd look at every light bulb and kind of get a little better idea, but that's kind of where we think we stand at this point. And that's why we think there's an opportunity to help out. And obviously, that there's a project that we would like to partner with you on, but we'd like to dive in some more.
Okay, if you give us the whole overview, and you got the chiller here, you got the lights, you got this, if we decide to go with one project and not another, is that going to be okay with you, or are you going to say, no, we want it all or nothing?
Sure. So,
because maybe we can't afford or whatever to do everything.
yep, understood. That's something that, you know, we'll do. It's your decision. So when we look at this, we lay out the cost benefit. You know, how much do we think we could save if we do a laundry list of things? And when after we look at the preliminary analysis numbers, and you say, yeah, this is something we'd like to pursue, then we'll agree to fully develop this thing where we walk contractors through and we get bids and we get exact energy savings calculations figured, and then we present the county with essentially a shopping cart list or a checklist of things that you would like to do, savings numbers attached to it, and then we say, what makes sense for you guys? If you can't do it all, that's fine. We do a lot of phased projects where we do, you know, the thing to weigh is, if we wait longer, how much are we going to continue to spend on any efficiencies and operations and maintenance to keep it going? Versus if we knock it out now, what is the benefit of that? And that's totally up to the county as well. We just lay things out, present it to you guys. If you want to do part of it now, just that's what you feel comfortable with, more than happy to do that and provide it in phased work. So there is no, you're only going to do a few things, we're going to walk away. That's something we figure out as we get into it. So.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
And please stop me and correct me if I'm wrong, but like you just touched on what Lyle was talking about, I mean, it's not an all or nothing type of deal as far as the work being done. You know, it's not like, yeah, we have to do everything, like possibly don't do the heat pumps, you know, chiller, lighting, you know, and we talked about the pneumatic the thermostat system over there that's, you know, obsolete and leaking everywhere and whatnot, which is a ginormous waste. But this will, if we did go forward and do certain projects, that would be what dictated the time of the turnover as far as financial, correct?
Yep. So all that's going to come into play from, you know, what the savings generated that you can count on to offset the cost, what the life cycle is. Yeah, there's a lot of different factors that come into play there, and Chris is right. We'll address them as you feel. We're not going to say it's all or nothing, and we don't want a part of this. We want you to be comfortable with it. We want to be comfortable with it. We want it to be the best budget impact for the county to be able to get the most done for the best return on your investment. That's
No fee for this assessment?
correct. Yeah, the initial assessment, absolutely not. And that's kind of our, to see if it's worth pursuing and what the project might be. We usually, obviously there's a cost on our side, but we'll eat that because we want to see if there's something that we can do
no risk to the county, that's the installation piece you take, like if someone gets, I mean, that's your piece.
There's no risk for the county on these projects, because we're managing everything,
I guess I'm just
doing,
what you mean by no, I mean, the labor, the installation, someone gets hurt.
Yep.
I mean,
so
so you take all liability for that piece.
yeah, because generally when you're doing a project, if it's called, quote unquote design build, or you're managing contractors, you've got to manage the headaches of different contractors coming in and out. We manage that. If you need something, if there's an issue, you call Johnson Controls and we take care of it.
Okay.
All of those folks work under us. That's our liability. Thankfully we've got the size and the breadth that we can take that risk. And that's a benefit for you guys just from a headache standpoint and a liability standpoint.
Okay. Do you look beyond just the physical stuff? Like, we've heard some presentations of auditing our actual utility bills to see if we've been overcharged. We've heard some about, our building, and is there a way to do net metering with different green technologies like solar or wind? I mean, do you look at all that stuff when you do the assessment, or are you just focused on the lighting, the, chiller, or our physical equipment and what you can upgrade to save? I mean, how much, I guess the span of the span of your focus?
Yeah, so we'll look at essentially all of that, from renewable energies. Our thought on renewables, we've done a lot of wind and solar projects. We're very invested in those markets. Actually, Johnson Controls is the largest manufacturer of batteries. So the car batteries, I guarantee, are Johnson Controls manufactured by the Interstate or Daiwa. When we talk about renewable energy, the batteries that we store, those battery backups for buildings, we'll look into that. Our thought process is, if that's something the county's interested in, wind, solar, I know that's pretty popular in Illinois these days, both of those. Let's look at the inefficiencies within the equipment first. You may not need a bigger renewable package to go with that. But if that's going to be a play, we'll absolutely can manage that and do that.
Yeah, it's not necessarily if it's a play, it's just, is it an option, and is it something that can help reduce costs?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm just comparing, because I know different they look, what I guess the scope of what you're looking at and how the breadth of your scope. Is it just sticking with what we have now, or
The
so we can compare apples to apples, or?
Yep. So the initial walks are going to be primarily focused on the building infrastructure, because that's where the quickest impact.
Yep.
However, if that is something the county is interested in looking into, on some of the other energy generation, we can do that, and find partners, find people to come in and talk about it. If that's something that you guys are interested in looking into, further down the road we can assess that. From looking at the utilities, are we gonna drill down and find where you're being overcharged? That's not generally part of what we do when we can, but usually we look at what you're spending now. If there's anything that stands out, we'll obviously point that out to you, but we look at kind of what your usage is and what we think we can impact on that going forward.
Who do you work with locally at this point?
Yeah, Peoria County is one of the larger counties that we've worked with in the last few years. We've got projects with a number of school districts. I think of school districts, Arcola, we do school work with. We've got Pike County is a housing authority project we did there, and when we talk about grants and rebates, we found $484,000 worth of grant and rebate incentives for them. Free money for a project like this. Housing authorities are a little bit different in some of the rebates that they qualify for. McDonough County, we've done work with their housing authority. We're doing work currently in Quad Cities, a number of school districts and counties there, City of Rock Island, Village of Schaumburg. We've replaced 5,000 streetlights there. So when we talk about the street lighting project, I know that's not necessarily, from the county standpoint, you don't know a lot of streetlights.
We got parking lights.
Yeah, maybe 20, 30 fixtures that could be a part of this. But we've got about $7-8 billion worth of guaranteed savings on the table right now that we're generating for businesses. So when it comes to these energy savings type contracts, we're the largest provider or partner of those in the country. So for doing any energy savings performance contracting type projects.
Any other questions for him? Chris has got your contact information.
Do we need a motion to send to the board to let them do the free assessment? Is that,
We would need to do that, yeah, if everybody got their questions answered.
I'll move to allow Johnson Controls to do the free energy assessment, or what's the right term, what you call it?
Preliminary audit.
Preliminary audit.
Yeah.
Second. Thanks for coming.
Yes, thank you all for having me, I appreciate it.
Yeah, let's do a roll call. Oh, we need to.
Jason, before you go, can I just ask a question? Sure. Jim Devine is our state's attorney, and we just kind of chatted here a second. You mentioned sealed bids, so if it's any of these projects were over the 30,000 procurement limit for the state of Illinois requiring sealed bids, you manage that process? We'd still go through the sealed bid process. And would each project stand independently then, be analyzed independently?
So if you're talking about like the like if we replace a chiller or something like that?
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So generally what we do is we'll put out an RFP and get at least 3 bids on the sub-projects under Johnson Controls as the partners. But absolutely, we follow any local regulations, state regulations, we do that. And so we want to make sure it's fair and competitive, that we get the best value and, are able to work with local contractors we'd like to.
So you're kind of the general contractor, that's what...
Yeah, in a sense, that's around how we put it. Yeah, yep, we're managing everything, and if we do the work great, if we work with local labor, that doesn't matter to us. We just want to help. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Can I call you when this is, I'm gonna be in here for a while.
Yep.
And later on this afternoon or something. Perfect, set something up.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Thank you.
Yeah. Before you vote, full disclosure, I put in Coleman Furnaces, which is a Johnson Controls company, so that's out there. No bias, I don't care either way which we go with.
Johnson Controls isn't
I
everything
know.
though, so it doesn't...
But it's just,
Yeah,
I
no,
want it
get
out there.
Yeah, you're fine.
How much common stock do you own in Johnson
Yeah.
Controls?
I don't believe I have any.
Board of Directors,
No. But just want it out there, just so it's out there.
you just fly in the wall in the board meeting room?
I have never attended. Well, I have been to their facility up in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Before we move on, something I'm gonna bring up to all of these guys coming in, I wanna ask them is, say there's a 10-year turnover, and what happens at the end of that 10 years where we were, prospectively supposed to get X amount of savings? What happens after that 10 years if utilities have skyrocketed from what they were when we started this project? Do they take into account that prior?
That projection, I guess.
Just so what he's talking about, and the reason I know this, again, full disclosure, is I did the accounting for the $7-8 billion, so I know how they work. And what happens, the way it worked there, at least 10 years ago when I worked there, they will contract and guarantee you a certain amount of savings.
Okay.
And we would cut checks to the customers for if they did not save as much money.
So it's a guaranteed savings?
It is guaranteed,
Okay.
yes,
Interesting.
yes.
And then, just in researching, Johnson Controls does work with a lot of these other groups too that come in.
Mhm.
So it's a matter of who you want, who provides more. That's why I asked the question on the energy audit or solar stuff, because I've heard some will look beyond just physical and just to lay everything on the table. But
need to make sure though that they're gonna use local contractors because,
Whenever possible.
whenever possible,
Yeah.
because they're not next door, so we can't call them and say, hey, get here right now, we've got an emergency, and
Yes,
Easier for them
I
to do.
prefer to have local, but they do have their own people in the area that specialize, I know they're in the Kankakee area doing stuff in the factories. and
Well,
stuff.
They're local
since
people.
we have local people
They
that
have,
can-
it's Johnson Controls.
Yeah, but they're
not
local people.
Yes,
They're people that
But-
live.
but yes, I'd rather have somebody in Watsika if we can,
Exactly.
or,
Well, our
no,
county, yeah,
yeah,
The issue
Since
we'll
they're-
have is
taxes and,
Right.
the skilled part.
exactly.
Yeah.
Plus the fact at the end of 10 years, those people are still probably gonna be around here, or, whenever contracts run out, they're still gonna be around here, and their name means something to them. So I really
Yeah.
feel that's something I'm very steadfast on. I feel like
that's
we need to make
something
sure
I've
that we.
tried to work on since I've
Union
been here.
shops do we have in the county? Because that's
Somebody what?
union shops. That's usually who.
Yeah, well, we better do the roll
Roll
call
call.
before we forget.
And this is just to have them do the audit.
Yeah.
It's free.
Casbar,
Yes.
Johnson, McGinn,
Yes.
Osmer, yes, Barron.
Yeah. Are you just getting the next one, or do you want to?
Dawn could be better.
Well, why don't you send,
Spent hours with them
yeah.
a week ago, so I already did.
Bob Vetter in?
Bob, come on.
Bob's coming back. And she's seen some of the email traffic. There's questions on the contract and stuff, and worked with Jim, and he helped, and he's got the updated stuff, and he's
He can pass.
already, we approved him and his group to do the walkthrough of Musco, so he's already done that. So,
Yes.
feel free to ask questions, and Jim,
Make sure Jim gets a copy of this.
Yeah, take a picture.
yeah. I have to pull up the, from before to point out the issues.
And if you guys didn't know, the reason that Charlie's not here is because he had hip surgery.
Wednesday, I may not be at judicial because I'm getting a bunch of back infections. But I'll get rid of my pinching again, so. What time that happens?
All right. I think we're ready.
Is that planned?
Huh?
For Charlie, is that planned, or do we call or
It
something?
was planned, but I guess what I was told was it was moved up,
Okay.
so. All right.
Okay, what I've handed out is some revisions based on the attorney.
Oh, yeah, you can,
Oh,
or
sure.
you can say it this way.
Thank you.
You can have a seat, Bob.
I've had talked with Chad and some information gone back and forth, and some revisions had to be made to the agreement with UTIL, the auditing group. And those
Can
revisions
you
have
explain
been
the auditing, what UTIL will do, so that they,
The
everyone...
auditing group, as you can see on the first page, actually, those are all the disciplines that they'll look at. And by state statute, they'll go back and collect any refunds or any credits that you've not received. They, in cases like with workman's comp, they have a specialist in the workman's comp field that will look at insurances and make recommendations if they're warranted. Any of the utilities themselves, those are always something that have to be maintained on really a yearly basis, because we've seen in some history with them that there has been some utilities that actually started jacking up rates again after the first year. So that's why we always recommend a 2-year deal. One of the stipulations they had in here is that if in fact the board was to take into consideration opportunities to recover money and waited for their agreement to cancel, they would still want to recoup what they've laid out as to how you can go ahead and receive X amount of dollars. Our recommendation is that whenever they find something available, to bring it to the table right away. In some cases, they'll find errors in as little as 30 days, 6 weeks. So even if you exercise that option right then and there, you have a year basically a year and 3/4 to go ahead and continue to monitor and receive what you actually have coming. Any questions?
Has this ever worked against, has anything ever been found where it doesn't favor, say, us, and we may be responsible for paying more? Has that ever happened?
No, no, not necessarily.
That's a question, but...
Kankakee Valley Park District, we went through their process, and they couldn't find anything wrong. If anything, the auditing group basically told them, you're doing everything you're supposed to, and then some.
Okay.
So there was nothing recouped at all.
You know what I mean, Bill?
No
there?
cost.
No, oh no, no cost.
So this is to look at our utilities and what
Yes.
we're paying. This is not this stuff.
No.
This is
No.
to go through and audit that, and
Correct.
then you will find if you've been overbilled, underbilled, or overbilled.
Overbilled or
overcharged, or
credits were assigned that you've not received. It happens. Eastern Michigan University, we had overages of $412,000 in natural gas for 5 years that we actually got back from the gas company.
And besides Kankakee Valley Park District, any other, like, within the state entities that you found stuff, or at least worked with?
We've done some small stuff for Cook County. Right now, they're doing, they just got a contract to do 8,000 Walgreens stores. They are also doing Kane County, Lake County, and they're also doing Racine County, from what I understand.
So with, like, the Kankakee Park District, they found nothing.
Found nothing, and there was no charges for overtime.
And so how does, like, this type of agreement, since there's nothing, then there's no agreement, basically?
No, basically, they give them a report that
Nothing
says
to be
we
implemented.
found nothing,
Okay,
everything that you've done as far as your process is concerned are righteous.
okay.
That was it.
Just weird for them. And so when it comes to, like, cost reductions or implementation thing, what is that? I mean, 'cause
They
it's
may
always-
find a tariff
Okay,
that is not favorable for the county. So they'll basically negotiate that tariff to get you a better deal.
okay. And then that's where, for that 2 years after, or 24 months of this
Yeah, that they
then
recoup.
you share
share.
the difference.
Yeah.
And this is separate from building audit.
Yes. Building audit is, we don't charge, we basically go through the building, make note of what could be done, and what should be done, and then we bring it to the board, and it's up to them to make the decision as to what they want to do, put it out to bid, or whatever. I mean, we can grab some basic numbers, give you some ballpark ROIs, etc. One of the things that we're doing in almost all applications now is we're going to the powers to be and the disciplines, and they say if, like, it's lighting, we want to change from 110 volt to low voltage just because of the savings. So it makes sense to go ahead and put, a side panel on that's dedicated just to 24 volt versus 110. Because you go from, say, your raw savings on putting an LED that is going to be 60%, you're going to go all the way up to 80-85% savings on the bill. So that's one of the things that we do. We're also implicating more solar into various projects. And in turn, tying that also to low voltage control. It just saves. Makes a lot of sense. Less maintenance, and in some cases too, we're actually putting in battery storage of some type, or some energy storage, so that you can actually have it available if you have a power failure, that you can run for a certain period of time. Not just emergency lights, you know what I mean?
Now, if you go to 24 volt systems,
Yes.
how readily available would those bulbs be? I mean, is that something we're going to be able to find locally?
They are. I mean, they're in existence today. You can get them anywhere. You can get them from Home Depot. If you need to.
So 24 volt fluorescent bulbs you can get from,
Yes.
and they are different from the regular?
Yeah.
How bright are they? Pretty bright, 24 volt?
If engineered properly, it should give out the same light, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it all depends on the coloring that you select to begin with. It's not going to change temperature-wise just because of the voltage change.
Well, in talking to a couple lighting companies, I was at a buying show, they recommended cool white for this environment. Because otherwise you're too orange and that's not good for working, or too bright and that's not good for working. So cool white's what they...
Cool white is good in most applications, but you can also use a mixture. In some cases, you may want a higher intensity light, but you're also going to de-lamp that fixture. So you're not going to have as many bulbs. So if you've got 3 bulbs, you may go only down to 1. Or if it's got 4, you may only go down to 2. Add that color. Cool white, in most applications, is fine. Somebody that does a lot of reading, sometimes you're better off with a brighter white. A bluer white. You have less eye strain.
And that's where this room may be different from the offices.
Absolutely.
Of course, that becomes a little more challenging for you to keep track of bulbs.
No, when you create the inventory for each every room, you're going to keep an inventory sheet for each fixture. They'll have that readily available. And you're not going to change these. I mean, minimally, you're going to go 10 years before you change bulbs.
Which means he could be retired by then.
Yeah.
And the next guy will have
Absolutely.
Any other questions for him?
Jim, did,
Yeah, it's picky, but it's on that second page. I thought we were gonna go to, on E under,
45 days?
Yeah, 45 days.
That's what I saw too, because
And I just don't like the award of attorney's fees. If we have a dispute, I don't wanna pay your attorney's fees.
Okay.
yeah, because of the way our board meetings fall.
Not a problem.
Just take out that last line too, the award of the court shall include costs and reasonable attorney's fees to the prevailing party. Well, the county has me, like it or not, so I'm free, and, but we don't wanna pay your attorney's fees.
Gotcha.
And the last line, the award of the court shall. Is everyone,
That should be a big problem.
okay, with, Mr. Vedder's company, they're doing 2 things. This is a service they provide
Right.
on top of the other piece, which is a different thing that you've done the
Yeah.
walkthrough.
Yeah, we've got a preliminary, sure.
So, have you ever experienced any of the companies, power companies being audited or whatever, and finding that they've overbilled, and is that a common or uncommon? I mean,
Well, those
being
audits are very
Anita's our
common.
finance.
The audits
director.
are very common. Now, the thing for us, and whether or not, we've had several phone audits, both looking at our pricing, people guaranteeing they could save us money. Since I've been here for 6 years, not one of those has identified either overbilling or any cost-saving measures, not one. I think we've had maybe 3 of them in the time I've been here. The utilities, what makes ours maybe different or maybe not, the fact that we contract, and we have 2 to 3 year contracts on all our utility costs, our electricity and our natural gas, may make it less, what do I want to say, less of a chance they'll find something, but I can't guarantee that they won't.
No, I'm not, I'm just,
Right,
what if
right.
you,
Yeah, very common,
okay.
very, very common.
So something like this could help us?
I've
if
never
there's no-
seen one that includes workers' comp, 401K, but, you know, what he's talking about with workers' comp, you know, giving us ideas to cut our costs and recommendations, were Randy Schultz already doing and reporting to the finance committee about that is part of our premium, that they provide that service, so, but
An outside opinion.
But it doesn't hurt, an extra set of eyes.
Okay.
Actually, we don't really have a 401K, it's more of a 403B, but
Yeah.
it's the government equivalent of the
Sure.
401K.
Yep.
So.
Well,
Yeah, any recommendation, you wouldn't have to take. I mean, it's really up to your decision at the end of the day.
Right.
But if we implement those, then
Yeah.
we share the savings,
savings,
or if you
correct.
find like a tariff was, you were overcharged, then that's a savings.
Yeah, probably one of the biggest things that people really don't even look at is their own cell phones. Cell phones are a license to steal. You know, so, and even the telephone lines, I mean, we didn't do it particularly, but one of the firms that we hired did one for Cisco Foods. And they found at one location 12 phone lines that had never been utilized for 14 years. That was pricey.
Wow.
You know,
So
so,
that's one of the, and that if you identify,
Yeah.
I'm not saying we have that, but if you found out, wow, you got 3 lines that go to nowhere, the
exactly,
savings is just
substantial.
cutting that, and then, so hypothetically, if it was 3 phone lines, $100 a month, you discover we don't use those lines, and we don't want to keep those lines,
Right.
then the savings would be $50,
Yeah.
that's 50 to you,
Well, 50 dealer company.
or 2 to
Yeah.
Util,
Mhm.
but that's how that would work,
Yes.
and that would be that way for the full 24
Mhm.
months. Now, if you discovered that 12 months in,
Mhm.
then it would only be for the remaining 12 months?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not 24 months from
No.
the time you...
No.
I'm not saying, well, I have 3 phones.
They have-
But I could see a company like Cisco in a warehouse.
They have a lot of companies
But-
that just automatically renew in
So-
a sense,
yeah.
because what they've done for them. Sun Chemical is one that they've had, I guess, 18, 20 years.
But if you find nothing, like in
Yeah.
KGPD, then there's no...
Yeah.
So this is a service to us if we can't solve it ourselves.
any other questions for him? Okay, thank you.
Did
Thank
the
you for your
walkthrough
time.
go well?
Hmm?
Did the walkthrough go well for you guys so far?
Pretty well, yeah. Yeah, we've come up with a fair amount of information.
Okay.
So, we're not doing yet.
Okay.
We'll be in touch. So they're on. Thanks a lot.
And you'll get re-email?
Yes,
a new one?
absolutely.
Okay.
I'll send it back to them as soon as I get back to the office.
Oh, he could have paid it.
I was gonna take that savings and our insurance
Um,
company's gonna do it for free.
But if you find something that Randy doesn't find, that's where he gets the savings. If Randy's doing his job, he won't find anything. So there's no cost unless they find something, which really isn't necessarily a cost, it's a discovery. So that's why I asked Johnson Control if they did something similar too. They provide that and all the others just to try to be able to compare apples. And I'm not convinced they'll find, which doesn't cost us anything if I heard him right.
Other
But,
than all our time.
but if Eastern, well, they use probably a ton of gas compared to us. So
I
anyway,
know we've been, since I've been here, I think they found some phone lines over at the courthouse or something that weren't being used and got them taken care of. A couple of years ago. when
That was the first one, which was the year I started, so that was 2012. And then we did another analysis when we went to IP Flux of whatever phone lines we have.
I mean, we've kind of been doing this right along. I guess it depends on whether, because if we do this, it's no cost per se, but it is a cost in manpower for us. Because, you know, it will give our already overworked people more to do.
that would have been the question to ask, what exactly does he need?
You'll probably want to have copies of everything back however far.
I didn't know if there's an authorization letter where they can contact those entities directly. I thought one of them, and that's, I don't remember if it's him or the other, where that was one of the things that we would have to do. That should have been something we asked him. If it's, we have to dig it all up, or if it's, because I forget which company, if it was Orion or one of those where
I guess
we
it's
have to
something we can
authorize,
ask-
I can email him, or if he's out there.
we can wait till next month to actually approve
Oh, yeah,
this.
yeah, 'cause he's got to give
Because,
us the
yeah, we
corrected.
gotta get the approval from our state's attorney on the wording.
Yeah, which is minor, I mean, the minor changes is fine.
That's important though.
Yeah, they're
45.
important changes.
And then,
So once we actually have that, maybe next month we'll,
well, do you want me to just call him or email him, or if he's out there?
he is still out there.
Want me?
Yeah.
Yeah, one more question, and correct me if I misworded or whatever, to, the workload on us to get all these documents, how does that work? Do we have to then say, yes, you can, and then we dump it all on Anita, or?
Basically, what you do is once the agreement's signed, you're gonna list certain PIN numbers for locations, whatever the case may be, and then they have the ability to go direct to the source to get the information.
So,
So therefore,
Information.
yeah, you don't have to pull it out of the file.
so really the workload on her is minimal, except
Yeah.
to provide the basic accounting
Account numbers or whatever.
that you need.
Yeah,
And then,
there's a letter of authorization
okay, is
that
that,
is provided to the various vendors, and then they just go ahead and give what they need to give.
how is that, I mean, does that answer the questions we have about, because that is a concern, we don't need the dump truck?
Right.
Okay, that was, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Pretty
cool.
common.
Okay, that's what we thought, but it kind of came up after, like, how much work, you know, to provide all
Yeah,
this.
no, it's minimal.
Minimal.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you. You bet. Does that help you?
Well, we'll just wait till next month when we have the final wording, that way it's.
Yep.
Otherwise it gets confusing.
All this, it's like trying to make sure it's apple to apple of what they're providing compared to
Right.
Johnson, yeah.
Chris, the one that's here for the lawn mowing, he didn't have to leave. He's out in the hall yet.
Oh, he couldn't stay. Yeah, because wasn't he the
Is that up next?
He
Shortly.
can come back in.
You know what, do we want to, oh, can,
Well,
can it, Jim, yeah.
yeah, we thought you were one of the lighting guys. You didn't have to leave.
I wondered. Well, we were,
Yeah, but then I was like,
yeah, because we're supposed to have a handful of lighting, and so, sorry.
Okay.
It's on video anyway, I mean, they're gonna be able to go and watch it,
Well,
at least I would.
now lighting updates is on here. I guess,
Smart, what, how was that one?
It was good. It was very similar to what Jason and I walked around with Johnson Controls, but it wasn't as, Jason and I walked around just sort of a quick preliminary. He was only here maybe an hour. Smart Lot was here. I walked around him for over 6 hours. They were very thorough. Ori Cummings, the guy who gave his presentation here, him and I walked around two engineers, two civil engineers, and they're gonna throw together some stuff for us, and I still have to hear from them. So, from what I gathered, what they're offering is very similar to what Johnson's offering. A much smaller company, much newer company, obviously. I couldn't tell you exactly how long they've been around. They're based out of Pennsylvania, I think. Yeah, it went well.
Don't they, kind of on their website and that, don't they kind of offer a little bit more than what Johnson was talking about? I mean, looking at everything, because I saw,
They did mention solar,
and, I mean, not that we have to, but I just,
and they mentioned
for that metering.
they looked at the roofs as well, which 2 of our roofs are pristine at this point. The only older one is the one on the courthouse itself. It's a 20-year-old roof, so next 5 to 6 years it might need addressed. Yeah, it went well.
on the wiring, can you tell me, I don't know if there's any outlets in, yeah, there's outlets. So are the outlets wired on a separate line than the lights down to here? Because if they're talking converting some of these lights to 24 volts, if it all comes in on one main line to this room and
That is
splits out, that's enough.
Yeah, I don't know, I mean, we're short of going out and flipping breakers, I don't know, I'm assuming they're separate because, you know, that's the right way to do it when you're originally wiring something, so I'm assuming that the outlets are gonna be maybe separate. Yeah, I'm not real familiar, I'll be honest, with the whole 24 volt thing, that's.
Well, I've heard that it's definitely an energy saving.
Sure.
It's just whether, and maybe they bring 110 volts to the fixture and convert it there.
Yeah, I don't know, that's something we'd have to talk about. You know, right off the bat, it seems like radical thinking, but maybe it's in the right direction, you know? I don't know.
Well, if it costs the same to put up 24 as 120 volt, you know, it's,
I can talk to some people. I spoke with one of the directors out at IMH over this weekend, and they are currently having Osram, who was here, they're doing a full retrofit of IMH, and they started that a month ago. And I can talk to him and see if they're doing any of the 24 volt stuff, and pick his brain a little bit and find out some more about it.
and I mean, he says 24 volt lighting's available readily, but I don't think it's quite as readily available as he's saying.
Maybe not one Sika. You know, yeah, you said Home Depot, okay, we're close to Home
Most of it's
Depot, an hour
ordered,
away.
but you order a Rogers supply.
Right.
too, so.
Have a drone fly it.
Yeah, they could have drones drop them off.
So,
24
but,
volt.
you know, if it becomes that that's what it is, and it's available to one of the local businesses, it might,
They'll order it.
yeah, they'll order it.
I mean, it's, yeah, Amazon, there's just a Home Depot, yeah.
Sure.
819, your normal little 819 bulbs, they have it for 24 volt. So,
All right.
Yeah.
Anything else on
it's,
lighting updates?
It's got some prices on it, similar to what you put in there.
Yeah, John was saying you found a lot cheaper than what those were priced. Well, those have been sitting around in my garage for a while, so they,
Was that a $22 price tag on it?
yeah, which the price since I got those has come down considerable.
Rob up at, what's that?
how much are those LED bulbs?
Rob up at Plum Mart can get them for around $8 or $9 a bulb. That's when, if we buy, you know, in bulk. Of course, you can go on Amazon and find them for $3.99, but
And John mentioned that, and I looked, and yeah, that's what the current pricing is.
Compared to a current T8?
Current
Or 5s.
T8s?
I mean,
Yeah.
compared to two,
yeah,
they're 5 versus 8, so really,
they're getting closer in
Yeah.
price, they really are. So I think their ultimate goal is to eventually phase out.
yeah, the mercury.
There hasn't been any talk of that, of course, but I think in X amount of years, we probably won't see fluorescent tubes anymore, you know.
Right.
And it's simple to convert it.
Yeah,
Like
and
the
that's
ballast
something, you know, converting these to 110 volts is not hard. Now, if we're thinking maybe going to 24 volts, then that becomes possibly a different issue.
Yeah.
So, I guess that's what we need to look into a little bit. You know, we don't want to convert them all to 110 and then find out that, oh, we should have done 24 volts.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that's what we'll get from these companies that see which one tries the best plan.
Once the plans are out in front of us, we do need to ask the other two, because I like the idea of the savings wasn't what they had promised, that they actually guarantee that. That never came up with Smart Watt, and I will bring it up to him, and, you know, Bob and I will be talking, and I'll ask him the same thing.
Okay. There's nothing else on lighting, we may as well go into supervisor report.
Don't have a whole lot this month, but, some of you guys commented on the heat pump in here. The heat pump is in, and it's sitting up at Weber's, and it was scheduled to be put in the week actually the couple of days that a flood-mageddon moved into town, so that obviously is why that got put on hold. They just got swamped with obvious, issues here and there, so. This month, I'm hoping it'll get done.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay, we'll see you. So, it's still on the docket. I got a call from a gentleman, David Moore, from the Head Start. What they call it, East Central Illinois, what do they call it? What does it say on the trucks?
ECIAAA, East Central.
My brain stopped working, what does it say on the trucks?
Yeah.
Community Star Action, something. Anyway, he's one of the coordinators for this area. He came out of Danville. They have an issue over there going on. He wanted to talk to me about outside where the kids play around. There's, obviously the blacktop and the mulch. Well, they have a small triangular grass area, and it's just completely inundated with moles. Mole hills, just tons of them. Well, I've already spoken to him about this, and I told him that I would look into it, and I would probably do need to get them eradicated, because, if they're literally just playing on mud mounds in there, and he did actually make a comment of how he'd be willing to go in half-seas on this with me, so I don't know how that works exactly over there, as far as
Well,
what...
if they want to give us money, we'll take it.
Yeah, I was surprised to hear him say that, and I was like, yeah, I'll look into some,
22 rifle. Sit in my yard.
Seriously, that's what I did.
Bubble gum.
Bubble gum.
oh, I thought you said bubble gum. What are you talking about?
They love it because it's sweet and everything, but
They kill it when they eat
kills
it.
them.
Sure.
Drop it in the hole.
Yeah, just-
No, I never heard of that. I don't know.
It's a mole.
we could maybe have the kids doing that. Say, kids to chew the gum, drop it in the
No,
hole.
they have to chew it themselves.
Like, right? Blowing to its max.
I had a couple of gentlemen contact me about the mowing bids. Obviously Russ is one of them. And then I had another gentleman, you may have been up there, his name was Miguel Sanchez, came down from up north. And I showed him around the facility. Sort of evades me at the moment what company he was from, I can't remember. Not a whole lot, guys, a lot of routine maintenance. They're on buffing the floors in this building. Shined up what's on there, actually. It's getting close to the USDA contract where we have to have their floors done and the carpet cleaned. Last year when I first started here, which has been almost a year now, I had to get some people come in to do their carpets. It's in their contract to have done annually, and actually the floors, I think it's biannually, but talking to them, they agreed that isn't necessary to have their floors stripped and waxed twice a year, so we agreed on a year.
Is it biannually twice a year or every 2 years?
No, it's twice a year, so that would be, what? Semi-annually, there we go. Thank you. Other than that, guys, I don't have a lot. That's all of importance really to mention, other than just routine stuff. I've been dealing with these guys coming in and showing them around and whatnot. That's all. Nothing else major. It was a short month.
Just as a side note, did you hear when services are for Larry or anything?
I did, but I did not retain it. When is it?
Wednesday. It's a gravesite
It's a
service.
gravesite service and a visitation afterwards, I think.
Gravesite, visitation that new, I believe.
Okay.
What did you say? Or just...
Who, where?
It's in Gilman.
Gilman.
So, just so people are aware. Okay, county farm issues, the fertilizer company has been notified of which one and everything. So they will be, as weather permits, they'll get it on there, I guess.
Getting close.
Then we are on mowing and weed spraying bids. lawn service. Bid per season, $13,515, with a 3-year contract, total of $40,000.
What's the name of it?
That was David's Lawn Service.
So yearly 13,515, 3-year 40.
Yes. And it says not bidding for spraying. Keep everything together as I pass these around. M&L Lawn Care,
M&L?
M&L. They are out of Crescent City, I'm not sure where that one was out of.
M&L.
M&L.
This one's Waseca. How many bids we get?
Six it looks like. They are giving a bid for spraying broadweed control, $498.52, bagworms, $210. Total of $708.52, and then they give a discount if you prepay.
So 708.
If we do broadleaf and bagworm,
Okay.
or I suppose the way it's written, we could choose one or the other.
Yes.
What's the discount on?
If we prepay, they give a 7% discount.
Oh, well, yeah. That's for spring. Do they mow?
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking to see. I'm not seeing anything with mowing.
What do we do?
So, with the discount, it'd be $659.03. Presume that,
$658.92 is what it says here.
okay. I'll take that one. It's all in the rounding. I rounded against us, figuring that's how it would be. So 658.
They're also recommending mosquito spray. They have multiple copies of stuff, and one of them okay, they have a reduced rate on spraying as far as how much chemical they use.
Who's this?
It's still M&L.
So different spraying?
Yeah, they've got another one for just broadleaf
Oh.
of $326.70 at a lower rate, chemical rate.
Oh, a different application rate.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
But no mowing, they're just
No
spraying?
mowing.
Okay.
Only spray. And double check that, make sure
Yeah.
I'm reading it right.
So they just want to spray.
They just spray.
had a bid from them last spring too.
The what?
We had a bid from them last year to do spraying on the grounds, and we opted to not.
Okay, David Hall. Bid per season, $10,725, 3-year contract, $32,175.
What was the first bid?
Per season, $10,725. 3-year, $32,175.
And this was the,
Is this the same people we had?
Yeah, it should be.
What were we paying before? Same price?
it's always been that.
Always been this?
Is that the guy that was
Right,
in jail?
Well,
No.
he said it would probably be higher this year because of the changes. I don't know if it ended up being higher or not, because he would have to do things differently because of that.
This is all just what application rate.
H&L, or HL1,
HO?
yeah,
HL.
Who are they,
HL Landscape. Joliet.
Must be doing stuff down here. Are they subcontract to the kids out of school?
Bid per season, $39,501. 3-year contract, $118,503.
Guess they're hoping on being.
I vote for that.
wow,
Always down for the
Rush that
direction.
one off.
yeah.
We got it, there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to,
They must see that we're in the black, huh?
Brandon LaRue, Snow Plowing and Lawn Care.
I think he's from Indiana.
What?
I think they're out of Indiana.
I wonder,
Bid per season, $10,000. Does not have a 3-year contract. Spraying, bid per occurrence, $120 per acre, 50 per occurrence to spot spray.
so what, spraying is 120 per acre, and what was the other?
$50 per occurrence to spot spray.
How many acres of lawn do we have?
I don't know exact.
I don't know, well, we know, Google Earth, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little over 19. A little over 19 acres. 19 acres? Well, $1,900.
And I guess I don't know if the $50 for spot spraying would be, it didn't clarify whether that's per acre or per spray.
Per pound, so. Spot spray, I would think means just going and spraying one spot.
There might be several little spots in an area.
Nature's View Landscape. bid per season, $16,335. Includes weed spraying around trees, posts, fences, and foundations that border or are surrounded by turf. 3-year contract, $46,791, with the same notation.
So the spraying includes,
That's to make it easier for you to trim, I assume?
Yeah.
So spraying around stuff so that...
and that's what we are wanting as part of our spray contract?
No. The spray would be... He has a
That's what I'm
for
saying.
spray.
Oh, okay.
Bid per occurrence for spraying, $335. And that bid is valid if they're awarded the mowing contract. So, 3-year contract, $1,005. Okay, the note actually says price is valid only if Nature's View Inc. is awarded a mowing contract, including applying non-selective herbicide with pre-emergent to weeds outside of turf areas such as sidewalks and cracks in pavement. Due to volatility in the state of Illinois legislative, prices may be renegotiated should government regulations increase the cost of doing business during the contract period, for example, but not limited to implementation of landscape service tax or significant increase to minimum wage.
Yeah, they're talking about raising all those.
What was that about minimum wage again?
If they raise the minimum wage, then he wants to be able to renegotiate the contract.
Didn't we have a deal where we didn't pay minimum wage for mowing or snow plowing? Anita?
No, it's, minimum wage is...
No, that was prevailing
Prevailing
wage.
wage, yeah.
There you go. Okay.
Prevailing wage.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think you can get out of minimum wage.
Okay.
And then that landscape. Now, are we tax exempt though, when it comes to like landscape tax and stuff?
I don't know if that he might be
I don't
able to...
know.
The state last year was strongly considering a landscape
Yeah.
services tax on all landscaping. I don't know if you would have qualified to
Yeah.
get tax exempt on that.
Yeah, I remember reading that they were going to tax everyone, and
Yes.
government agencies like, wait, and that's what slowed it down.
Yeah, and you know, they're talking about $15 minimum wage, and that's just done because putting it in there.
Yeah, yeah. No, I hear you.
Okay, we got a bunch of them. How do we want to, do we need to put it on the board to be able to compare them, or?
I can write it, people, I mean, that's what... I can write it up
Handwriting
there.
might be better than mine.
Well, I need to stand that kind of like skill and stuff. Oops. We got eraser.
There's one eraser, there's someplace, maybe up there, I don't know.
We don't see it there.
There it is. Just like this other stuff. Screw the eraser. Oh.
Aren't you using
Yeah, I
it?
told you, fine.
Oh, okay.
I thought that came up there.
No, no, it,
Hey,
who's the...
There's that.
you know how long that sun and flowers are going?
Year.
We had sun and flowers.
I drew that like
Can you read that off, so then please write it?
Year.
Oh, you don't have it, right?
Well, I want to make sure that,
The first one is...
HL.
Oh, so you're more tricky.
Spray?
Yeah.
1 year, 39,501. 3 year, 118,502. Spring, 2,300.
try and move stuff.
Yeah, I'll just go a little small.
M and L is weird.
There's spraying, right?
They're spraying
Oh, like,
only, yeah.
Spray.
okay.
I would say,
The first one, option
did
one.
your spray have insects too, or just lawn?
No,
Okay.
it's just for weeds around obstacles.
Option one,
So it's
weed
not
and
really
bags.
turf spray.
Weed and bugs.
Well,
Weed,
um,
bugs, which was
658.92.
That's if we treat that.
658, which
like 708.
Right.
4708.
52.
Now, weed only,
Weed only is 303.83. Or 326.70.
Oh, the other option was 3. Oh, that's with the discount. I got you. 320.
670. Cold.
There should, and then there's another option, a different application rate.
that was a different application, right?
Oh, was,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, that's right, yeah. Okay.
You'd think a teacher would be better at writing on the...
I'm a sub. They don't teach that. They don't teach, and plus we don't use chalkboards anymore. It's all with the smartboard.
Now,
Yeah.
That's an excuse.
I also took on maintenance too. Yeah.
10,725. 32,175.
No spray.
And no spray.
Oh, those are instructions.
Brandon LaRue. 1 year, 10,000.
10,000 flat.
Yes.
I'll go that way.
That's all he's got.
Oh, that's it. Nothing else.
Nature, yeah, we didn't have anything
So,
else.
just gotta get one more up
But he
there.
had spot spraying.
Did we?
Brandon did.
Oh, he did, yes.
It's 120 an acre, $50 spot spray per occurrence.
Which is about 1,900. We have 19 acres. And then 50
$50
50 per.
per occurrence. And then we got one left.
Yes, Nature's View.
He's the one that wrote all the notes. I don't know.
16,335.
335.
Yes. And then 46,791. Spraying, 335 per occurrence. 1,005 per 3 year.
Yes, question, since you're here,
Sure.
if you don't get the mowing bid, would you still do the spraying and would you know what that cost would be then? Or would you not want to do it?
So my understanding was the spraying in general, was meant to be for weed adjacent to vertical surfaces, so trees, fences, that sort of thing. That it was not a broadleaf weed spray over the turf.
Okay.
That's what I had told.
Oh.
It was a little ambiguous, and judging by the items that were meant to be sprayed around, I took it to be that as well. So that's the reason I did things the way I did, and the 335 is a post-emergent contact as well as a pre-emergent, so that you should need one, maybe two applications in like the sidewalks
cracks in the pavement, that sort of area. So I'd be willing to do just that, but that would only be for non-turf areas.
Okay, so you don't do turf areas?
Not for broadleaf weed spray, not for this size. I would sub it out to ML, to be quite frank.
So in the past, have these lots been sprayed with broadleaf? Is this something new this year? They sure were last year.
No, it was something that we did a couple of years ago because buckhorn was just terrible. And so to get it under control, we had a lot of people complaining how bad it looked. And that stuff comes up so quick after you mow it that it never looks good then. So, any discussion? Halls looks to be the cheapest, and they don't spray. We're not obligated to take the cheapest, that's what we've done in the past. It's not that we have to.
Halls is the cheapest, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
About the
And
10,000.
those
Brandon is,
What about the one next?
Oh, okay.
that's the cheapest for mowing,
Okay, yeah.
not for
That
spraying.
you spray.
But we don't know anything about,
I don't
there's no references, there's,
We're,
I don't think Halls has, I don't think they spray all broadleaf either.
no,
No, they don't.
no, most of them
They don't touch, they
spray.
just show them mow.
So, I guess, where was Brandon out of?
Goodland, Indiana.
That's why he's cheaper taxes over there.
Well, it was up by, if he's doing business in Illinois, he has to, so.
We stay local as much as we can.
Well, and that's where we don't have to take the cheapest if there's some reason to not.
It's really cheap.
I like the fact that on Nature's View, he sent his copies of his information as well, so we know that he can actually put down spray and everything legally. He showed all of that information in there.
Well, the others weren't doing any spraying.
Well,
That was
No, they were.
Brandon
Brandon
did.
is doing spraying,
And,
and M&L
Oh,
is
okay.
doing spraying.
They're not. Well, did it say in the bid to send that? I know they're supposed to send insurance, but I don't know if it said to send licensing.
I think I saw the licensing number for M&L on their bid sheet somewhere.
Okay.
Where are they out of?
Crescent. That's just
But they,
spraying.
they're not going
Yeah,
to
they're only spraying. Well, I guess, is there anyone we don't want?
Well, H&L we don't want.
Okay.
Why not?
I can erase them off if you want me to, or the
Yeah.
board. Is that, okay. Get rid of clutter. Well, they're just spraying.
Yeah.
Spraying anyway.
That's a spray thing.
Well, that's it.
We go with one
If,
without.
well, if they were allowed to bid either mowing or the spraying or both.
Mhm.
And that's where it's a little early to tell if we need spraying or not, broadleaf. Anybody got thoughts on any of them?
Well, staying local, it looks like Halls is the best one to me.
Well, David's is local too, right? Watsika.
But he's
I
not
think,
right
I think that's, well, the three that are local are David's, M&L, and Nature View.
Mhm.
So, as far as in the county.
to keep it local, that's,
I'll erase on the consensus.
I wasn't impressed with Paul, I'm sorry, and I'm
Neither am
not
I.
impressed with the fact that they ride around with kids on lawnmowers. No, that's a no vote for me on that one, so.
But
well, it was
I'd like to
addressed
get
with
rid of
them
Brandon.
last year.
Well, I understand it was addressed, but it shouldn't have had to been.
Well, I don't think we need someone from Indiana. What's your
I-
thoughts?
I agree that I would toss, we don't know anything about him, there's no references or anything
plus,
else, so.
this is really high.
And that would be
Yeah. So,
extraordinarily high for spraying, so.
erase.
Yeah, get rid of it.
I'm just gonna-
Everybody
okay.
okay with that?
Yeah, okay.
And I don't know anything about this Davis, does anybody know anything about him?
I have no clue who that is.
I don't either. I mean, I don't want to give something when I don't even know what they're,
I like the fact that you can have mowing and spraying at the same company.
Well, that was not the broadleaf spraying though, that was just,
All the trim,
but if,
keep it clean, the edging. And broadleaf, you don't really know if you need or not.
no.
I don't know if you are interested, just for me, looking at this from the outside, not knowing what your priorities are, if it was up to me and I was in your shoes, I would recommend that you actually switch all the turf to a native area. The cost of maintaining it is significantly less over the long haul. So there's something to look at down the road. In the short term, doesn't matter if you have some dandelions growing in your turf. It doesn't detract from the functionality of the space.
And you can say you're supporting the pollinators.
What?
Exactly.
The dandelions are critical to the bees in the early spring.
Yeah.
Just
But
to bring up,
I'm a
before
biased beekeeper.
he spoke up, is who complains? Is it residents or is it employees complaining about weeds in the fields? Does it really matter that much?
I don't.
I know employees were saying that it looked terrible.
Donovan.
Board members were complaining also, yeah.
Well, yeah.
There's a balance. I mean, right up here, you know,
Right.
where you walk in, I get it,
You
but
do targeted spray. then you don't-
everything else, yeah,
when it's not mowed.
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
I can't stand
I
it.
thought you said dandelion.
yeah.
Or then
Spraying's
when it's
not,
thatched looking.
fertilizing is good for me. Spraying,
Yeah.
I mean, I get bagworms if they come in at that point, but, you know, targeting like entryways, but the bigger yards,
Yeah, the bigger yards
not
would be
critical.
prohibitive.
Seems like
waste.
something else to
Now, what turf, we're,
What, now,
You
say
have,
again.
you have like a massive area of just south of where the courthouse is at, it's sitting underwater. That's a prime area to just revert back to the native planting.
yeah, you know,
It costs you some money up front, but long term you're gonna save money through maintenance. It's mowed once a year, or actually about twice a year during establishment, and then you do very selective broadleaf herbiciding, spot spraying. You don't mow it.
there's actually grant, there's different entities, private entities that will provide the seeds, all that, besides what USDA might.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you don't have to mow it, then you can put a little fancy sign, you're helping the environment, and everyone thinks they're happy.
Exactly.
We can look into
Yeah.
that for
Then you get
future.
people complaining they can't sit there and watch fireworks then.
Oh, well,
That's where 80% of them sit.
well. Unless we charge fees to sit there. We gotta lower our cost of money, so.
So how did Halls do this past year?
I guess you told them to keep the kids off the mowers, they were okay, weren't they? Weren't that all had kids on the mowers?
Yeah.
But they did okay after you told them to keep them off.
As far as I know, I never saw any kids riding around. I never saw them the first time. That was,
How do you think they kept the yard? Was it okay?
oh, it depends who you ask. It was fine. There were times that it seemed they'd come not frequent enough, and then they mowed it down, and you have just the striping of the dead grass laying there.
Right.
I know that's a little unsightly, and that brings us back to, the same
And there's
conversation.
no reason for them to come late. It wasn't a rain or anything or a flood. It caused it. They just came late.
I don't know. I don't remember how rainy it was last year.
The bid, nature, I mean, this is the current, but what spraying was included?
Around
The,
all
the trees and the
Around
edging,
all the vertical obstacles, basically.
so that includes
around
a
the
lot of stuff
foundation,
that we want.
around fence, around all the trees, around posts.
So I think the intent of the spray bid was for that, and so it doesn't, Paul isn't gonna do that. And we don't know, but his bid actually addressed the spraying of the vertical stuff and edging and sidewalks.
Sidewalks is part of the per occurrence.
Per occurrence.
Anything in a non-turf area,
Non-turf.
so weeds going through cracks.
But the edging of the sidewalk, you were spraying for mowing and all that?
We would not spray the edge where the turf abuts the sidewalk. The best way to address that is with a vertical edging.
Edging,
mechanical.
But the trees and the buildings and that stuff, so that's,
And you'll clean the
Important.
sidewalks off, or would you clean the sidewalks off after you cut them?
We always blow the sidewalks.
Yeah.
That's all part of, yes.
so,
I know weed eating was an issue last year to, revisit what you just asked, Paul last year is sometimes they just wouldn't.
yes.
And there would be, like up here in these corners, they just mow their mowers, then
There's
there's that
David's bill. I just want to see if he
partial
addressed.
circle of just
Yeah.
all unmowed grass.
So that's a complete bid.
Which is what
And
you're addressing with the spraying.
It's a complete bid.
Exactly.
That's all.
There are going to be probably some very minor spots that we may have to, it's not efficient for us to walk this entire ground, but the line trimmer every week or every
Yeah.
3 weeks.
Just the buildings and.
I think the motion to do Nature's View, even though it's more expensive than you do quality work, you're not gonna have to worry about it. Chris isn't gonna have to waste his time chasing people where it's not listed.
It includes, well, it's more expensive, but
But
it includes
it includes the basic
the
premise of
spraying
what
that
we
we want.
Right.
That's why I asked last year if I could buy a weed eater, so I could,
Yeah, the weed eater that Paul got done, well, that's what.
not every time, but yeah, I'm not saying it was awful every time, but that is why it was like half the summer.
Paying for it.
Yeah, you give it. Sorry, I'm like. We need to ask the budget question
Yeah.
to feed us.
What did we budget it for?
$10,300.
So any of them's over our budget.
Just like snow removal.
Well, snow removal's ate up more than its good fair share, so.
Yeah, that's a whole
And
other,
encompass all, so.
that's a whole other conversation.
So the,
I hope we're done with salt.
what we have to keep in mind is the budget implication, okay? We take, Paul's is the only one that's basically budget in sense, so we will have to find $6,000 from someone else based on our budget, and
In addition to probably a $6,000 at least shortfall on the snow plowing as well.
so we already have to find $6,000 for snowfall. So,
Did you buy the weed eater last year? So we do have that.
So let's see, do all the lights, so we do zoning, weed eating. Next year will be snow removal. That's when I get my huge raise, so.
Might as well go with these guys. So where would we get the 6,000?
It won't, so, we were talking about snow removal this year really put a dent in my service contracts. The budget was, it's one of those things we talked about, we don't know what we're gonna get, and
okay, so
salt really killed us. I hope we're done with it.
Permit salt. What we pay $6 a ton.
Something like that.
So, I just put the budget numbers up, we're already 6,000 short because of snowplow. Lawn budget is 10.3. So if we, borrow from Peter, we have to go Ron Paul, or however that saying goes.
And that's not
If you
always
add the two
good.
together, it's almost rusty bid.
So if he did it for free,
It's hard to pay employees who do it for free.
well, we have a motion.
And where's our budget standing as far as how far under
Well, if you look at this sheet that you get every month,
Yeah.
I mean, we're only 3 months in, so it's a little hard to tell what's going on. But, I mean, obviously the problem is in contract services because of
Yes.
the way the salt is. So that's pacing at $100 grand on a $25,000 budget. Well, that's gonna even out. You're gonna end up with a shortfall, like I said, projecting $6,000 to $8,000 there. You're 3 months into the budget, it's almost too soon to tell. Other than that, I mean, maintenance and repair is low all over. We're showing right now a forecast of, let's see, forecast of 20,000 and a budget of 55. So, you know, it's a little hard to tell right now so soon. You could make it up in maintenance and repair if the year keeps on like this.
I don't know that.
That's why I'm here.
Okay.
That's why we're gonna cut your budget by 10% every year.
I like the all-inclusiveness if we want.
Just hang a towel in there.
But I'm also
Yeah.
not an
Sorry,
apparent
no,
person. Paul can mow it, and
Someone
we do our own editing. I mean, but
They bring their own toilet.
when we say that, every time we say it, you know, someone over there has to pick it up, so.
Taxpayers' money.
Because we won't, you know, even if we didn't replace that many heat pumps, that's only 10,000 in that budget. So that's,
Heat pumps are in the capital improvement fund, it doesn't help
There's a
here.
whole different line there. Yeah,
well, we have a motion on the floor. Is there anybody wanting to second it?
You have to make a decision today on this?
Pretty much, because they'll start mowing pretty
Yeah,
Yeah,
soon.
that's
and then we'll
true.
go to the full board, and then, you know, they can,
Yeah.
the full board can change things too. I mean, they can, it's almost like, I want to send both
contracts
to the
And-
full board.
And they can be brought up,
I
I mean-
would like, I mean, because we had the two extreme of hauls of just showing up, cutting the grass, it looks what it looks like, versus Nature View providing more of a service. And I think that discussion
if that's,
would
I mean,
be, I'd like to have that discussion just to kind of get a feel of what the other board members think as far as how well do they want the building and grounds to look versus, you know, do you want it to be pasture cut, no offense to Paul's, or do you want it to have,
and that's something we can,
because of this?
I mean, we can narrow it down to 2 and send it to the full board if that's what you want to do.
I have a feeling
Let's do that.
I have a feeling that we're gonna, because we're only 3 months in, and if we only send to one, I just have a feeling we're gonna be going to the finance committee to say, I don't know, Murphy always shows up and breaks stuff. And so,
Yeah, let's go with 2.
I'd rather amend the motion to send,
Her motion died for fail of a
Okay.
second, but we can do a motion to send 2 of them if that's what you guys want to do.
Yeah, I like
that's
that
what I
idea.
motion, to send both to the board. Halls and
Yeah,
Nature
more
View
discussion.
for final approval
Second.
and discussion. Because I personally like what Nature View offers,
Me
but
too.
Now, it is in the contract, I believe, that they do have to trim, so when they go around and leave that space you're talking about, it's part of the
I
rotation,
move
they have
to
trim.
send Halls
I talked
and
to him about it
Nature
last
View's
week, too.
bids to the full
At the end
county
of the
board
year,
for
when-
discussion and action.
He spoke with me and asked, you know,
Yeah.
yes, I really like the bid next year, is there anything, you know, things
I
we're
like
not doing or
them
not
too.
doing, and I
Right.
brought up some issues
I-
with them, so.
Yeah, I want the full board to see the difference and say, okay, because I'm okay. Board, everyone says that one, then we will manage our budget,
Figure it out. Okay.
because it's two extremes.
Go ahead and take the roll.
Hansbergen?
Yes.
Johnson? McGinnis?
Yes.
Awful?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes. Okay. Thank you. If you want to come to the full board, you can.
I would recommend
Next
Tuesday, 5.
5 p.m.?
Yeah, I would recommend this way. They have questions, because they're going to ask what exactly do you mean by spraying, and
Sure, absolutely. And will they get access to our full packet that we submitted?
yes, both of those.
It'll be, we can have it there, yes.
Wonderful. Thank you for your...
I don't know that everybody's going to have a copy of it, but we can have the bid there for them.
Maybe make one per table or something that's easy
Something
to
to
pass
pass
per
around.
section, this way they can pass it.
One of the things I think is unique to us is that we are local job creators, and we are very active in the community, give back, and I think that's something that's worth...
That's why it'd be good to come and answer the questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Want to erase this or leave it up?
Why don't you leave up the 2?
Leave up Paul's, yeah.
Yeah,
That way,
I'll leave this, I'll move this down.
yeah. Put it in the middle of them.
I'll just move it over.
then the basic will be up there probably yet for the board meeting.
Snow shortfall, 6,000 to 8,000? Okay.
I know we're how many months away from this, but do you think next year we'll do snow removal and salt the same way, or do you think after this year we'll have...
Was this a 1-year or a 2-year contract, or a 3-year contract?
I think it was one.
Yeah, 1 year.
No, I don't...
We only had one bid, didn't we?
We did.
The only bid?
We only had one bid.
Yeah.
I just mean as far as we had the choice to do it, you know, it's this price for salt and snow removal over the course of the year, or it's pay by the pound. So we did this year, and that's why we...
We paid by the pound.
Anita?
And
I
that's
put
how,
that in red.
in the
just for
past, they've
my
always
county
did it by
people.
the pound too.
Yeah.
I
That's
don't
for
know
you.
if there's any, I don't
Well,
know
he
if
did
there's...
it,
Should be bolded.
like Chris said.
If I could fold, yeah, if I was that artistic.
Or by the pound. It was option
We
to
had
go
two
by the
options.
pound rather than all
We had
inclusive.
the option to pay X amount for all the salt, all the removal, and it was high. It wasn't as high as what we're ending up paying, but it's one of the, you know, how do you know?
It's a gamble on,
Yeah.
it's a gamble on the weather.
Yeah,
and
Snow
loss.
removal always has been good.
Exactly. We don't know.
And like you said, we got some time, if we can come up with a better way to do it, you know.
Did they put too much down?
No, I was getting, well, I say no, but I was getting compliments of how they're actually salty.
I made the joke of,
People were falling in years past.
well, yeah, I made one day I came in, I'm like, man, I could bring my beef jerky and stuff here and roll it and be preserved. There's so
Scoop it up,
much.
bring it home.
There has been times when companies did put too much down with trash cans.
But how do you tell them not to put
Right.
too much, because then if somebody falls, then it's on us,
We're gonna-
which is on us anyway, but...
But that's why we have liability insurance.
Okay. Update on office space.
Yes. That is salt.
Okay.
Chad, you talked to a lot of people.
Yeah. I have to put on my proper words. So, I talked with Aida, Ken. They are opposed to sharing any space, and they kind of want to have the same amount of space because in case he ever gets a secretary, but I have my own things on that. Dr. Murphy I talked to, he's the regional school superintendent. He helped talk to all the superintendents and helped me with, communicating to them so we could, they're okay with moving, they're okay with going into Jen's office or wherever. All they require is they have to have phone line and data line, or, be able to tap into the internet. He kind of made comment, yeah, they'd be okay to share if the size of the space was large enough to share. I talked to Lisa about the one class, the office or storage. She's got two storage if you look on the map. One has a window you can look in. talked about maybe walling off one, because that big room has 2 doors, and they have a lot of unused space, but during election time, they need that first door, because they're big carts when they wheel stuff in and out. So, not really sure how well that would work. And then, obviously, we have the animal control area that can be redesigned, that you could fit, you know, you could put Veterans Affairs there, or you could put IDA and, not health, IDA and ICANN in there if we wanted, you know, based on how you wall it. Ken also said, you know, his board, you know, could also move, but, so, they're willing. The last plan we talked was to take the Ken's offices in ICANN and convert those into the Veteran Affairs location. With those chairs and everything like that, I think that is kind of the better spot. But now that, when I talked to you, you said you had some ideas on the animal moving office.
John had some
Or
ideas,
John.
but he couldn't be here today. And he kind of said to me, but you know, it's been long enough
Yeah.
ago, I don't want to,
Yeah, I mean, I think if we move VAC over, you know, to those 3 offices, ICANN has no problem moving into Jen's. I do think Ken does. It's not big enough, but
it's a
I'm
small
sorry.
area.
It's-
And
you know,
John said he's okay with moving there too.
It's
and
a
then we
12
can
by
maybe-
12. I mean,
Yeah.
if you go in there, it's plenty of room for IDA. I'm sorry. There's plenty of room for them. Or ICANN. Or even John, if we want the chairman or future chairman to have a more visible role.
Well,
And,
he thought it would be good if he was more visible, people might stop in more.
you know,
How often be in there?
I don't know.
I don't know. So,
But it's a smaller office than the back office where he's in, I think, so.
I know Jen from the VAC has a plan. They've drawn up how they would organize those 3 rooms. So they have an actual, she showed me it, a layout. It reiterated to her performance dictates everything, keeping, you know, if you're performing, and I you know, so Ken, performance is everything. You know, if you're performing and you are providing something that is continually helping our residents, awesome. You know, so I think moving them to those 3, to that spot would probably be ideal. And then moving IDA into the animal control or ICANN. ICANN doesn't have to have a public, like, viewing. They use it if they have to mediate conflicts. They tend to use that space versus a school district office, so that it can feel like neutral ground. So, and I did the research, and yes, there's no contract as far as them having it, but there is an agreement. And you know, I'm kind of the background that let your yes be yes and your no be no, and there was a verbal with the board in the past. So legally, that means nothing, but
But if you don't honor the
But,
previous board.
you know, and so, and then, because that, right next to the other bathrooms down here, I think that spot would be best. Next to it, the old custodial, I don't know,
Yeah.
there's a sink, and
Yeah, we've discussed
I think that would be an awesome benefit for the health department, because water and everything's already there they need for when they do exams, you know, let them have that.
Yeah. Dee
We-
said that she could move environmental, I think, in there. She said there was
Whatever.
room for 2 people, and
Yeah,
they were the ones that needed
Yeah.
water.
yeah, and so that would be a good move there. With all the excess equipment, I've done some to sell it. State of Illinois Central Management Services runs an auction site called iBid. It's Illinois something iBid. Where municipalities and the state of Illinois can put items up for bid, surplus property, and it's an auction site. They help oversee the management piece of it. I don't know exactly, they do take a small cut to maintain the website, but it meets everything with the law as far as surplus property, as you mentioned. You know, I think we've got some surplus stuff stuck in your area
good stuff.
Yeah, so therefore, this way we can get rid of that. I know that wasn't the scope, but that when I started seeing space stuff, that would be an easy way. And then how the IBID stuff works, and this is for any property, is they put up, there's rules after the auction is done, they have like 5 to 7 days to pay, and then you put on there who to contact to come get it. And so it's really, really neat. But if you Google IBID, you'll see there's, you name it, it's on there. So,
Anita, in animal control, there's some printers and copiers and stuff. Is there, what's the procedure if we want to see if anybody else needs it? Do we just ask around, or do we?
We have in the past, yeah. Just sent an email to everybody saying, this is what we have, does anybody want it?
Okay. So that-
We did that when, well, yeah, it would be when zoning left there, we just sent an email out to everybody, and like that big copier in there, nobody wanted it. That's been there since then.
Because it does work, we just tried it. Okay, I didn't know if, with
So
the,
can you recap where you're putting him? Jen's staying over there.
well, move Jen to the 3 offices.
Right, and
I can move into Jen's.
okay.
Can I
Or,
just ask you,
yes.
and you, Greg, or someone, I'm just nervous about IARDs,
Yes,
'Cause
Greg
there's
talked to
2
them, yes.
and they're okay?
Yes, yes. Greg
Okay.
did the,
Who?
Dr. Murphy talked to the 2 entities that use the ICANN office, IARS
Yeah.
and ICANN.
Yeah, I kept hearing you say ICANN,
Yes.
and IARDs are the ones that were really
Yes.
angry the last
Yeah,
time.
yes, we had that conversation, and so he helped us by explaining to them that we're not trying to kick them out, but we have to look at what's best. And yes, they got moved once, but things have changed, growth has changed. We have an office that's actually providing services to, so the only, and I'm trying to pick on Ken, but Ida was the only one that seemed more hesitant to accommodate,
Where was she
whatever. One of the plans was to share that 12 by 12. That was an idea that we tossed. And they're totally against it because of confidential stuff, whatever. But he also hinted around that they've also talked about finding a better location because of, like, having a conference room space that's business-like, or whatever. And
So what if they decide about negotiations?
that would have to be in,
when I talked
we
with the
do that room.
yeah, the animal control, depending on how we move people around. I mean, Ken could go in the far back, that one room, and then the days of negotiations, I mean, he's not part of it. Maybe he can schedule, go meet business people.
Well, that's a terrible waste of that space, though.
Well,
Are you talking about that permanently? I mean,
no, but moving the VA across, they have a plan. Ida, I'm just going to be point blank, I've heard it from a lot of constituents, they question the value of Ida. And I know it's on record, so you can comment me, but I get that a lot up north. What value are they doing? So that's something I have to get educated by Ken on to help educate that piece. But, so that, I threw that out.
I mean,
Negotiations, I've talked to a few employees and some department, in the building, and, I said, across the hall, break room, just throwing things out, and said, break room would mean it could be shut down for a couple of days with that, and someone's like, well, we've got a microwave here, we'll just stick it in the hall, plug it in, Well, and the concept was willing to work, willing to settle, okay, so there's a couple days we can't, use the full functionality of the break room. And so that was the consensus was there's willingness to be flexible with that process as far as if they don't have access to it. I didn't ask every employee, but I was just trying to get a feel because that's important that, from their view, if they were not able to access that piece for those couple days or during the hour that they might be in. So, but they'll move wherever IARTs, so everyone knows, they'll go wherever in here. They're very, very, very flexible.
As long as they got a spot there.
As long as they have a spot with a phone line and internet line.
And
a lock and a door.
It has that already.
Yeah, that side does. Animal control, I mean, if you look at the offices next to it, I mean, it's easy to put some walls where they, I don't even, well, I just stuck the map. I had it. So, I had the map. You could put, well, it's underneath my back. I mean, volunteer services, well, animal control is 14 feet wide. So, if you could make, down towards the other office, you could make another little office in there, using like the same hallway, still have a little open room, if you just put up a fake wall. The current office that's in the back is 13 by 14. Trying to see if I can figure some measurements here.
Are you talking about volunteer services now?
No, I'm just saying, comparing how they divided up their space. There's flexibility to put up, if you need a private office, right next to there for Ken. Ken and John could stay back there, or Ken and can go back there. And then you still have the front space that, if we need it for negotiations or some storage, I mean, you could still do that, because they would be extremely flexible knowing if negotiations needed that to be, they'd be flexible to avoid that for those couple days, just to have a little space. And I'm sure Ken would be too. And then so you could have the chairman back there with Ida and put Ida in the current VA office, or you could put IARTs in the current VA office and put the other two in animal control towards the back. Just make another little office space. And you'd still be left, I mean, you could put, let me do some quick math here. 18 feet. Where's the full length? Where's the full measurement? 13. Yeah, I mean, even if you made another 13-foot office in that, you'd still have 13 feet of open. Or you could just make a 10-foot office and then give you 16 feet of a little conference room. Does that make sense? I mean, on the map, if you look at animal control, if this is animal, the door is about right there. You have this office, which is like 13 by 14. You could put another office here, and if you made it 10 foot, that would still leave 16 foot. Or if you made it a 13 like that one, you'd have then 13 feet of space. So we could put another wall. You could put the wall there, you have your hallway, put a door right here to get into this one, and then here's the current door to get into there. And then you could put chairman, Ida, and ICANN, or you can do chairman in the current VA office, Ida, ICANN, and we still have, either way, this area could still be used for negotiations and pile stuff and whatever. And if you put the chairman here and ICANN, odds of both, that would be extremely flexible to avoid needing anyone in there for that time. Or, so the question comes down, how public do you want the chairman's office to be for future? So, but, with Ken's office, if we move ICANN or IDA down here, I mean, we'll probably do a 13 or put him, ICANN doesn't need a huge space. You could put Ken down here and then they don't need, they just need a space. And this would also solve if ICANN needs to meet privately with someone, here's the space. If IDA needs to meet privately with someone in a smaller, here's some space.
I like that idea, but I think the chairman should be visible.
Yeah, and that's up
To the
to
public.
the board, really, how public you want. I tend to agree as we grow in one direction. We're moving, but which, at least, it's visible. I don't know. I mean, some counties that's important, some counties it's not because they're not there every day. I mean, but it does send a message that he's available, so.
He or she.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Whoever.
yeah. I'm not being,
I don't know.
humankind will be Canadian Prime Minister. Whichever humankind occupies the chair.
Okay, well,
Mathematically, the space is there to do that.
Mhm.
And, I've been chewing on this a lot, trying to help meet everyone's,
there's a lot of people you gotta,
and it doesn't hurt to have a small little,
Mhm.
meeting
don't
space
do that
that's
right.
if you do it right, it could be a good spot for performance counseling if you need a quiet, away from the work center. So, and it helps Ken and, so, that's the thoughts. And then, obviously, that other room for health, and then health will have to make a decision on that equipment that's stuck in the boiler room, because that needs to find a home. Because there's stuff in that custodial closet that would need to be relocated, and health is,
There's quite a bit
Yeah,
jammed
health,
in that,
yes.
in the custodian closet. I mean,
well, it's
there's
not a
lot.
closet, it's a room. It's a small room with a sink there. So it's not a closet, it's big enough to put, but health department will have to make a decision on that equipment. They're gonna have to declare it surplus or find a new home.
when I talked to her, I don't know if she even realized there was still some there, because she said she sent some over to the other shed, and I
They
said
have
something
stuff in
about,
the maintenance shed too.
yeah, I said something about this, and I don't
So-
think she was aware of it was there.
So
Yeah.
we will have to help, talk to, well, Marvin's on that board of health, but they're gonna have to do and I can get more information on the IBID, that's a separate piece, but help them move that stuff out and generate some revenue that might help them,
Is it surplus just since they got in here? Because we had a surplus sale when they moved here.
Yeah,
Or is it something that didn't get bids?
I don't know.
Surprising.
I don't know.
what it
IBID
is.
will get a bid
Some
on
of
it
it's
to
some
start that.
exam tables and stuff, so I don't know,
So that would have been from down there.
Yeah, and if it's not being used, then surplus it,
They
get what you
sat there
can,
for 3.5 years.
plus what's in the closet, or closet, storage shed.
Chris doesn't need the room.
So,
Really? Anybody need a baby scale? There's a couple of them out there.
so that's, do I need to draw different pictures, or is,
No, that's good.
No, do we need to make a motion on this?
I don't know that everybody, I guess is everybody on board with this?
yes, ICANN and IARC will go wherever. I believe Ken would move down here too.
Leave. I thought that you
Well,
wouldn't be a
that's
problem
his
before
option.
too.
Yeah, that's his option.
Yeah.
The sharing was the big one. But it's 13 by 14. It's generally the same amount. He would have room if they wanted a secretary. He would, or whatever his title is. But he told me about it. I'll look at the map real quick. There's room for an assistant to
13 by
sit
14
there.
is a good sized room.
His current space that he occupies right now is 20 by 410. If I'm reading that right, 5 foot maybe. That seems. I'm
It's
trying
gotta
to
be a little
read.
bit more than that.
I'm trying to read that number. So, but it generally would be very close.
6'4".
I think it'd be 6'4", so it'd be real close. You know.
Or 6'11".
Yeah.
Yeah, it is awful small.
So it's 14 that way. Let me double check, make sure.
That's a good sized office at animal control, that back office.
Yeah, so it's 13 this way, so he can fit all of his stuff in there, and he can fit his
Really.
future assistant that he mentioned that he's never hired.
If,
So,
as long as he can make it.
yes, he can
Because, I
make
mean,
it.
There, well,
I'm
I guess
sorry.
it'd be going through the one into the other anyway, so
Yeah,
it'd work.
it will work. There's
Yeah.
plenty of room. I'm sorry.
You could make that other office that you're talking about too, for the chairman's office, you could make it long and narrow.
Yeah, we can design this,
So that
however.
you have plenty of space, then he could actually have an area right outside where the door is not located for an assistant if he ever got one.
Yeah, I mean, you're saying we could go like this.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Then there would be assistant spot right there, that door could be down there at that far end
And then they
to
have
go into what
more
you,
space that way.
and then you
So,
have more space that way, and then you still
yeah,
have plenty of
because you
space
could make,
right
this
there.
is 14 wide, you could make this 8 by 10.
Exactly.
Even for ICANN, I mean, they just need room.
Well, why don't you put ICANN in the,
Well, it all depends. If we want the chairman title sticking out, I'm just, for future, I mean, you have to, I know,
But-
it's not all about
no.
John, it's, we're,
No,
the
we're saying
discussion is
chairman.
for future, the
Right.
chairperson, chair,
No,
whoever.
But I'm saying,
But-
if you're gonna do that, then you still have that space there. So
Yeah.
if you wanna meet with people, your
Yeah.
chairman there, and being able to say, come in, sit
Yeah.
down,
Yeah.
let's talk.
Yeah,
You've got plenty of room for that.
IARC is happy with going into the, so it's just, and this is fine too, if you
And
put the
anybody
chairman,
could use that too.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
if they're up
yeah.
here, they could still go
Yeah.
down there and use
But
it.
the
You could put
chairman here is
calendar up
fine.
there.
it's still visible, because we can put a little
Yeah.
sign out here.
The clerk's office has already said if we have another meeting room, they would take care of it, because there used to be one that they took care of.
So yeah, this design is more of,
Would you like a motion?
yes,
I make a motion that we move ICANN into the VA. VA's going over there like I originally said. Put Ken in the old chairman's office. Build an office there. Use that as conference room. And let's
You
get
getting
this
all that?
done.
so,
You like that?
okay,
Okay.
yeah. I'm glad you,
But-
I'm
but-
driving, I didn't want to be the, yes.
Question. Yeah, that's the question
Well-
I had.
What?
Capital improvement.
What budget does this come out of
Oh, yeah.
when you start building a room?
Yeah, it's just the lumber piece, the
Remember when I
drywall.
said that repairs and maintenance was low?
Yeah.
Because that'll eat it up.
That's not
Right.
capital improvement.
No,
It's gotta be
Chris,
10,000 to be
it's just
canceled.
another thing for you to do.
No, I will help you.
Yeah, I don't know.
Cardboard. It doesn't take me to just stack them.
And what about
The cost to put the wall will be under,
Shouldn't be
as
much.
much, because it's just,
My
framing.
suggestion would be
Question?
this get diagrammed out for the full board.
yeah, well, the question, with 2 options, because I do like, I mean, if we did it 8 by 10, and then you
And the
have,
cost for the full board, so you can see what it's gonna cost.
And
To put,
building those walls won't be much.
no,
But,
Penny.
but if we do use the janitor's closet for the health department, then that means there's water and there's a drain in the boiler room that can be put in, but there again is an expensive.
Health department, she told me.
They would pick up
She would
that.
pick that cost
Okay.
up.
Health department will pick up
So
all of
there's
that,
no cost for that.
Okay.
right, and that'll be a separate motion.
Exactly.
We'll do that as a separate motion, but that was just all included in my conversations.
Yeah.
So,
It's just, we want to make sure
yeah,
all the pieces fit.
Just the one thing you might want to think about with that little office there that you're building that wasn't thought about when we stuck that one out there is the HVAC.
mhm.
They got to move.
Yeah.
They would pick up the cost of the improvements.
whatever that is.
Have that, yeah,
Yeah.
I have to look at how the air gets in there.
Right,
Yeah.
right, and that's,
Whether we tee
that's
off.
expensive, that's more expensive than throwing up a couple walls.
Well, some of, it depends, it may be able to just be teed off into that to create the airflow.
I second
Versus a full line.
Are you sure you know what the motion was?
Yes.
She's a-
Yeah, no, I understand that
Write
piece,
it out.
and, you know.
That's something
teeing
we
off.
have to investigate up in the ceiling.
Yeah. There's a lot of work there.
Yeah,
You just say,
Well,
let's
it's not just
build
putting up a
build
wall.
a couple walls,
No.
there's like,
There's a lot more.
I mean,
yes, diverting airflow.
luckily, the cold air return, the whole upper part is cold air return, so it's just a supply line.
Yeah, we just have to do supply, and you can put it a cold air return vent if you have to help airflow.
Well, that's your cold air
Yeah.
return, just the whole upper above the
Above.
ceiling.
Yeah, you make it that way, and it's just a matter of where the vents are, and you tee off into that room.
Yeah, and
If there's enough capacity
if it's
to
on
tee off.
flex duct, you might be able to move one from one square to another, but you know every square inch of this place by now, right? You were just saying you've been here almost a year.
not quite.
I mean, the other option is chairman stays, ICANN IART stays, and Ida
I
finds
just
a
don't
new
want to
home.
be forgetting somebody. That's,
Yeah, no, we have everyone. I mean,
okay.
if we don't do this, I mean, the other, I know there's a motion, you know, chairman can stay, ICANN IART stay, and Ida, you know, follows through with what Ken said, maybe they need to find a new home. You know, he did say that to me, that it might be in their better interest if we don't want to do that. But I'm not trying to force them out, it's just,
Right.
you know, and maybe,
No, but for their best interest, that office over there sitting empty and dormant, not
I
doing
think
anything,
this,
total
yeah.
waste of space.
I think this is a win-win for a lot of people, and you develop a private little conference, or meeting room too.
Sure.
And then you can put a little sign that says chairman is here, you know, because he doesn't need a ton of space.
Right now, there's nothing that says where he's at.
No, and so,
You got it. We're all done.
Well,
and I can draw, for the board, I can draw up a couple, you know, this way and this way people, I mean, if it helps, if you want me to draw a picture.
I wouldn't give too many options. I think the better one is the long skinny.
The long
Yeah.
skinny.
The more,
Yeah, no, I know.
it's gonna be confusing enough.
And is 8 foot by 10
Plenty,
plenty? That's,
plenty,
those of you that live in offices,
plenty.
you know, if we put the chairman there.
There's not
I
that
mean,
much stuff.
I've always had small offices when I was, I always got stuck in like closets and stuff because, well, yeah.
Then you've got an area for,
And so-
assistants outside.
So this is a seating area and conference, so,
Sure. I guess,
and this would satisfy Ken.
yeah.
He'd still have it, he'd get a window now, so.
I guess, do we want to get real specific as to who we're putting
And
where?
who knows, Ida might
Or
pay
do we
for the
want-
little table to go there. Does it have a nice table?
Yeah.
Maybe you could trade on that bid spot.
Do we want to get specific as to who's where, or do we want to talk it over with them as to?
I already know
Because-
specifics.
Yeah, I think
know,
specific's
I
fine.
know. But,
I think
I mean, say those two want to switch off.
that's fine.
I mean,
Put
that's why I'm
Chairman
saying-
Ida down, or Chairman Ida in the animal control. We'll just do that, and they can
Yeah, they can
8 by 10 or 13 by 14.
work it out.
So, in Ken's interest, knowing that their board did authorize to hire an assistant, and that's why they have the two offices, in Ken's interest, this
Would be
better
spot.
for him. In the county chairman interest,
Right.
and how much space a part-time, I mean,
I've had 4, and every one has been different
yes,
in my tenure.
yes. Some are very active, some
Some are
aren't.
here a lot.
Yep.
Some not so much, some.
So I think that gives them plenty. There's a room for a desk and to put a chair, and
That's good.
they need it. That position needs it. That position needs it.
That's right.
It's not about the person, it's about the position. So,
Absolutely.
so I can draw that just for kicks. Sorry.
You're good. You like to talk too much.
Oh, you know how long it's been?
That's
At
a
least he's
teacher.
not squeaking.
Don't you dare!
So there you go. There's our pictures for the board.
Okay.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a call.
Okay.
I came to VA, VA to the IDA office, and Ken into the chairman's office.
And a constructed office for the chairman.
8 by 10.
Or do we want to do what Chad said and just say Ida and the chairman will be in here in
Or
that?
just leaving it like it is.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. We can, that's easy, that's minute details that can be changed without a motion, or without a,
Second by Larry.
Okay. That doesn't have the health department.
no, that'll be a separate,
Okay.
because they need, in order to occupy that space, they need to deal with their equipment.
He's getting a migraine over there.
So,
Okay. Yes.
Hassbarger?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
McGinnis?
yes.
Awful? Yes. Barron?
Yes. Okay.
Thanks for all your hard
Do
work.
we want to
Oh, you're welcome.
deal with the health department now, or do we want to deal with that at another time after
Another time.
after we talk to them about what their plan is?
Yes,
let's
to
do
deal with
that.
that equipment.
And we need to... Okay. Anybody here good at drywalling?
I like to try one.
Yeah.
I don't want to
I don't
stand
want
it.
to paint it though.
I'm no good at
You like
sanding
to
it.
stand it?
I love it. I like mud and paint the paint.
11:30 almost,
Well, if you can mud,
Yeah.
okay, well, this will have to get full board approval, we'll have to get a building permit, because the last time they didn't get a building permit, and the city got upset about it.
I bet.
Even when inside your own place? Man, I love our rules.
Yes.
Unincorporated.
They sent,
Tom went.
yes,
Yeah. Well, I just moved into a house that's remodeled, it had a building permit on it.
I thought we were in the
Remodeled here.
unincorporated area of the city.
all right.
When I saw the city map.
Anything else on office space, otherwise we'll move on to claims?
I don't think it is either.
Do
Oh,
you want to do anything about
Oh,
it?
yes, everybody has this in
As
front
long
of
as
you.
right down like.
This is on the Champaign County Regional Planning Commission lease. Okay, so, as I brought up last time, our options were to either send them the letter saying we're raising their rent, or not send them a letter and it will go up by the multiplier. But we had,
Send a letter that tells them what it is, though.
right.
Yeah.
All it is.
Am I not seeing it here what the new rent would be?
It's right down here in the little box, and it's on the second page, too. So 2018 would go to $5,064.99. I'd actually just say 5065, but 42208 a month, $6.30 a square foot, and you've got the updated per square foot costs there as well somewhere. I'm not seeing it in my stack of everything I brought here, so. But our cost per square foot went down this year, so. I'll just put it up on my computer since it's. Yeah, 513 for 2017 costs, but the budgeted for 2018 would jump to 653.
And this is a one-year lease, correct? A year to
Well,
year.
it's just annually, you can see, I gave you the lease themselves, and the way it's worded in that lease is that the term is for 3 years, starting July of 2013, an automatically renewal on a year-to-year basis unless terminated by either party on written notice of 90 days.
Basically, we're terminating the lease and offering a new lease. Or we're just...
No, we're doing an
just
addendum
saying
to
that
extend it that 1
Renew
year.
it for 1 year.
Right, it's just the automatic renewal.
The automatic renewal, but at the higher price.
Right, right,
Which is what it's been doing.
right.
Do you need a motion for that?
Yes, we need a motion.
The motion to send them the letter with the renewal and the increase. So $423 per month.
Second.
Hessler?
Yeah.
Johnson? Yes. McGinnis?
Yes.
Awful?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes. Any other office space related issues? All right, claims.
Motion to pay the claim. Or send claim full board for payment.
However the wording is.
Second.
Hessler?
Yes.
Johnson? Yes. McGinnis?
Yes.
Awful?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes. Is there any old business? Any new business? Motion,
So moved.
is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?